Vash, I know you wanted to talk a bit about Universal crowds for Epic Universe. Now, we have an article on Disney crowds from this past weekend, but what did you, what specifically did you want to discuss as far as the Universal crowds go? Because I heard wait times have been less than usual.
This is a profoundly interesting story to me because the Epic Universe crowds that people were believing were going to be absolutely sensational, and then, oh, this is going to be crazy, this is going to be insane. Apparently, that hasn't really been the case. You can see this right here. Actually, this footage provided by Nolan Thunder as of this very morning, which was pretty crazy. This is the opening day crowds and what they actually look like for Epic Universe. And from what I understand, this hasn't really changed. And people are finding that people may have pre-bought Express, for example, and finding out that they no longer have a need for it. I've heard some differing reports as to whether or not you can even get a refund because of how little the crowds have been at Epic Universe. But it really has been very, very interesting. We covered this a little bit on the grand opening celebratory stream on this channel, actually. You can see right here what the aerial of the parking lot looked on opening day. And you can see that, I mean, this isn't even, I would say, 20% capacity. And we know that this parking lot roughly holds about 5,000 cars total. So, what is actually going on here? There are two things going on. One, I think more hotel guests are utilizing Epic Universe than the parking lot itself, which is very, very good because I think this parking lot is a little bit undersized, especially for the area, but that's neither here nor there. Also, too, the other thing is that Universal, it would appear to me that they are capping attendance on purpose, right? And we have had some differing reports as to whether or not they actually are or are not doing that. You can see right here, Block Mickey, Epic Universe tickets are available for day of purchase and have been available every day since opening. Universal isn't capping attendance. Now, that's there's two parts to this. Universal absolutely did cap attendance. We know that because for the longest time, this calendar itself wasn't available for purchase on those days, and they only made those single day tickets available very late in the game. Versus the multi day tickets that they did sell, those were blocked out pretty early on. I would say a couple days after they actually went live, and then they held the blocked out status, I guess, or the sold out status for a long time. Until almost the very end, when they, I think, felt comfortable about increasing that attendance gradually. Theme Park IQ, actually came back to Block Mickey and said, hey, this is unfortunately incorrect. Universal is capping attendance, and there's data to prove it. Block Mickey asks about this, and Theme Park IQ actually provides a little bit more to this. Ticket availability is being pulsed. The data dictates that there's plenty of ticket inventory available, but it's being artificially removed. A single day ticket type may show a capacity of 3,000 with 2,400 tickets available today. One day later, that ticket is marked and sold out. A few days later, it'll say the same ticket type has about 2,380 tickets available. The data is pretty clear that there is an artificial ceiling, and that ceiling keeps moving lower and lower over time. The changes to capacity are dynamically set by Universal and Epic Universe. That's actually what we've seen to a very large extent over there at Disneyland Resort. The number that instructs capacity, or the final number of tickets being sold and so forth, or the amount of reservations that they give out for annual pass holders, is dynamically switching. It's a lever that's constantly being pulled, and I think it's happening right here. Why I wanted to incorporate this into a more broader conversation about Magic Kingdom, and I know you got this footage, I believe, Marvin, from your time. Yeah, at Magic Kingdom, we are seeing reduced attendance here. And I think Lou made the point, and I think it's very profound, that what Universal has decided to do regarding its attendance, especially based on the previews and everything else that we saw, them restricting attendance to the extent that they are might actually be affecting Disney. Because if you're going to be making a trip to Central Florida, especially with the heat and everything else related to it, And if you can't get into Epic, you might not be going to Central Florida at all. I think this is really profound.
Yeah. So this footage was taken at 1 p.m. by the way. So this is like prime time in the parks, like when people like when it should be wall to wall people. And this is on Memorial Day. That's the thing. Now, one thing I wanted to make the point about with Epic Universe though is if you remember when Walt Disney World first opened its doors, there was a media frenzy about overcrowding. And what was found was that people actually avoided the first few weeks of Walt Disney World because of that media generated fear of overcrowding. There was panic initially because of the low crowds, but then within the first month that started to normalize. Now I have a message out to Universal to ask them specifically about this attendance situation. I wanted to see if they will actually give me any direct information because guys, remember, sometimes it's not about being first, it's about being right when it comes to journalism. So I have a message out to them. I'm waiting to hear back as to whether or not they're capping. Now they definitely capped attendance on this day, opening day, because you couldn't get a ticket to that. I tried multiple different times to get a ticket for opening day, and there was just nothing available. So what you're seeing on opening day, and everyone that was like, "Oh, well, look how not crowded it is," that was sold out for the capacity that they made available for that day. So,
Correct.
Whether they're still doing this or not remains to be seen. But I could buy a ticket probably for today if I tried.
Remember, we had people that were, I think somebody provided us a super chat talking about, hey, what's the best place to visit in Central Florida right now? Because Epic Universe is sold out on the days that my loved one is actually coming down there, which I think is more evidence to suggest that people who wanted to go to Epic Universe, genuinely wanted to go to that park, could not. And again, I think that's affected Magic Kingdom and the rest of Walt Disney World as well. This effect of like, oh, well, we'll gather attendance from people visiting Epic Universe. Maybe that's true, but I guess it works in the other way as well. Go ahead, Jonas.
No, I didn't have anything specific, although I will say Park Hoppin did confirm that Universal Studios, which I still struggle with, what are we supposed to call the park itself when it's Universal Orlando Resort, whatever, the whole complex.
It's Universal Studios.
Right. But still, it sounds like it's the whole facility there. That there were lines for E.T. and for even Fast and the Furious Supercharge. May it hopefully rest in peace soon. That it was a longer line that they had seen in years for those attractions. So I don't know. It's interesting to see things shifting around. There are locals who will specifically avoid the parks on days that they think that tourists will be there too, as well here. I think we've all got a pretty good idea based off of the aerial photos of the parking lot that Universal is actively keeping the attendance availability low for Epic Universe, though, as much as I would like to go to there.
The real test, guys, I think is going to be 4th of July. So in just about, a little over a month, we are going to see, again, especially with Magic Kingdom, Magic Kingdom traditionally 4th of July, jam, slam, shoulder to shoulder people. Same thing with Epcot. We're going to see, and I'll be there on the ground to report for this as to what those crowd levels are going to be. It's definitely been interesting. Whereas Epic Universe might be capping, and there is that potential of the media generated fear of overcrowding, Magic Kingdom does not have either of those things. So the fact that it was this empty at 1 p.m. on Memorial Day was something else entirely, guys. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
By the way, this footage you're looking at right here, Vash, this is the hub while the castle show is going on. I made sure I zoomed in to catch the fact that this is while the show is going on and it's this empty. Normally, when that show is going on a regular summer day, people are lined up back here.
Right. I mean, it's remarkable that a show like that only generate this amount of crowdage, because I mean, like Marvin said, that this hub area is actually full. And I love how you went deeper into the park and got even more footage from like Liberty Square and so forth, just to illustrate that it's not like people weren't coming in and out of the Main Street or retail corridor, as they call it. this was a profound effect that was actually seen in other areas of this park right here. And again, we've gone over the wait times and so forth associated with Magic Kingdom, especially on the opening day of Epic Universe. And we noted that they were very, very low. And now this is Memorial Day weekend. This is the kickoff of summer. This is a big 3 to 4 day weekend. People were going to the box office, as we just illustrated before. They just weren't coming to parks. And maybe that's the Epic Universe effect playing out. Perhaps maybe that's a changing pattern in consumer behavior as it relates to attendance at these theme parks, at least in the South. But we've seen industry trends that suggest that theme parks are slightly falling out of favor. At least the regional ones. We'll see about the big two.
Cannon Barnes for $5 says, did you all check out Saturday and Sunday Memorial Day weekend? Memorial Day typically is slower due to travel back home for the last days of school. We checked all weekend, and all weekend it was pretty low.
Yeah, it was all pretty low. And Memorial Day, like there has been changing patterns here. So I think historically, if you look at some of the numbers, they are very, very high for Magic Kingdom, especially in Walt Disney World and so forth. Mm-hmm. But we've just seen that the summer it just doesn't feature the same demand. And that goes for all the parks, actually, that we saw for many, many years, maybe during the 1990s and so forth. So there definitely is movement in this area, but this is particularly low.
And even if vacationers are traveling back home post Memorial Day, remember this also, a lot of Florida schools ended this week. So this is like the official kickoff of their summer vacation. Memorial Day should be a huge day for locals because you've got basically the start of your summer vacation. A lot of schools around the country ended this past week. So Memorial Day weekend was the kickoff to summer vacation. Now, and I grew up in the Northeast, so I was typically going to school, well into June. But from what I understand, it's always kind of right around the end of May that school lets out for the summer in the southern states. So, while some people might be traveling back home to go do their finals, in the New York, New Jersey area, people in Florida are just starting summer vacation and should be ready for family fun in the sun. Now, also, it was beastly hot, but it is always beastly hot. That I never take the heat as an excuse as to why people are not going to the theme parks in the summer. I'm like, people did not just suddenly realize that Florida is hot, guys. It was hot when I was a kid. It was hot when before there was a Walt Disney World. So, chill with that. Literally chill.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.